Heat waves cause more deaths than all other natural disasters combined. We experience floods, tornadoes, fires, and all of these are devastating, but I don't think people actually realize how devastating the heat can be.
A heat wave on the human body causes a lot of physiological strain, primarily at the heart, and so that strain can have an effect on your risk of either survival or not.
One thing that climatologists are most confident about with climate change, that the temperature is going to go up, and we need to take it seriously because there's no doubt heat waves are coming. Everybody's going to experience a heat wave of some sort in the future.
A heat wave can be defined as 3 consecutive days of at least 30 degrees during the day, where the temperature does not decrease below a certain temperature at night. And that's important because we do see some of the heat waves that were the deadliest are ones that the temperature during the night did not decrease as much.
The last 2 weeks in Montreal, it's been about 30 degrees during the day and 28 degrees during the night, but really, really humid environment. So you just don't get that relief. And that's when our body is continuously undergoing this physiological strain.
If it doesn't have that chance to cool off during the night, then it's kind of like the stress just accumulates progressively during the heat wave. Usually the deaths start occurring the second or even the third day of a heat wave.
The most remarkable heat wave that we've experienced in Canada was the one that occurred in the summer of 2021 in British Columbia and to some extent all across the prairies. It killed almost 700 people. It is by far the deadliest weather-related disaster that's occurred in Canada. Think about that for a minute.
The biggest misconception is that people die from heat stroke, which is when your body temperature rises to dangerous levels. While that can happen, the most common thing that happens is that there's a big strain on the heart when you're exposed to hot environments for really long periods of time.
7-9 degrees. So our research is mostly focused on understanding how the body reacts to heat and if we can do anything to cool off the body during a heat wave. So right now we have a study where we have individuals come into our lab. We simulate either a kind of typical North American heat wave, and then we do different interventions to see if we can help cool them off.
The ultimate goal is to build a toolbox of ways in which people can effectively cool themselves in the most ecologically viable way possible.
Things that we're looking at are just using a fan or wetting the skin with cold water with a fan as well to try and really help people keep cool and alleviate the cardiovascular strain. Today it's 38 degrees, 60% relative humidity, so you'll start to sweat and it's just going to start dripping off you.
Yes. Heat stress is a point at which your body starts increasing in core temperature, and that heat needs to be dissipated by some mean. Everyone needs to sweat, right? So sweating is a mechanism for our body to dissipate heat when we're under heat stress.
If people are outside exercising or not rehydrating themselves adequately to compensate for all of the fluid that they're going to be losing through sweat, long term it just puts such a strain on the body and it's just detrimental. And the problem is a lot of the time we don't feel the signs in our body until maybe it's too late. You don't know how dehydrated you may be until something happens and then it's like, okay, I'm actually not okay in this situation.
People will progress from a normal body temperature to an elevated body temperature that's high, uncomfortable, but not necessarily dangerous. And that's usually heat exhaustion, so people might feel a little tired, extreme fatigue, dizzy, things like that. And then if it keeps progressing though to a heat stroke, one of the main signs is that there'll be central nervous system dysfunction, so they might be confused, not talking properly, things like that. And then what needs to be done at that point is they need to be cooled with whatever is available. Ideally, it would be like cold or ice water to really bring temperature back down as quickly as possible.
We know that air conditioning is the best way to keep cool during a heat wave, but not everybody can afford air conditioning. Also, the mass use of air conditioning contributes to the climate changing and becoming hotter.
There's no doubt that air conditioning has saved people from dying, but it comes at a cost, of course. People fuel those air conditioners by the burning of coal or gas. And the heat wave problem is especially problematic in urban environments, and especially in the large urban environments. The concrete, the steel, the urban infrastructure itself contributes to the heat in the urban environment. And Air conditioning in those towers, in our apartments, in our homes, adds heat to that environment. Urban heat islands are pervasive across Canada and the world. It's only going to get worse.
I think we need to start thinking a little bit outside the box and doing other things that will really minimize the occurrence of climate change.
There are problems with always using air conditioning, with leaving it on in the house even when you're not at home. Like, this is going to cause long-term problems. During a heat wave, if everybody uses air conditioning, it's a huge strain on the power grids, and the likeliness of having a blackout or a brownout is going to increase. It's happened in New York and Ontario. There was a huge blackout, and it cost $4 billion, and the amount of deaths increased by 28%. And if we can find any other ways to try and keep ourselves cool, otherwise, I don't know, it's just going to be disastrous.
There are things that you can do without air conditioning to cool yourself, but if you haven't had an experience with that, or you're not being told on a regular basis what to do, you can find yourself in really dire circumstances. Why did so many people die in British Columbia and Alberta? Because they just weren't prepared for that kind of heat. So if people haven't experienced those kinds of heat wave events, they may not know what to do when it's that hot.
The interventions that we're looking at, we really kind of pitch it as alternatives to air conditioning. And we kind of want to test these kind of more simple recommendations that anybody could use anywhere.
If you don't have air conditioning at home, go to a shopping mall or a movie theatre, like anywhere that provides air conditioning where it's a public place and you can be around people. From an environmental perspective, we need to really introduce a lot of greenery. We know where there's a lot of shade, it's a more healthy environment, and then you don't get the heat inside the house as much. On a lot of phone apps where you look at the temperature, they put heat warnings. And then if you open up the heat warning, it tells you exactly what is going on and things that you can do to try and make sure that you're not in any danger. It's like, it's not just human health, it's the health of our animals, which provide our food, the crops, which provide our food. Like, it's, you know, it's not just us, it's everything that works together.
There's hopeful signs that Canadians as a whole are waking up to the reality of climate change and realizing that there are some things that are inevitable and we need to get ready for them.